Hello everyone, this is Stephen Balch, your instructor for Introduction to Macroeconomics at Ozarka College. Today what I'm going to do is give you a little feedback on the chapters 5 and 6 activities that I finished grading yesterday. And then I'm going to tell you what we've got coming up due for our chapters 7 through 9 activities next week. Alright, so like I said, I did finish grading chapters 5 and 6 activities yesterday. If you haven't already gone in and looked at your grades and read the grading comments, go ahead and do that as soon as you can. Most of you did well on the assignment. There were a few of you that did not answer the questions thoroughly enough, and so I had to count some points off for that. But if I did count points off, I tried to explain exactly why I counted points off and what answer I was looking for when I graded your assignment. So if you're not already reading the grading comments, make sure you do that, because that will give you an indication as to what you need to maybe improve for next time, as far as answering the questions a little bit more thoroughly. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. Let's see, the discussion that we had for chapters 5 and 6 that dealt with the calculation of the CPI, or Consumer Price Index. I thought that went very well. We talked about the importance of calculating CPI and how that number is used to manage inflation in the economy. I thought everyone provided some good information on that, so I really appreciate everyone's participation on the discussion, so keep up the good work on that as well. Most of you did well on the chapter test. Just remember, though, you can take those tests as many times you want to up until the due date. Your highest grade is automatically recorded. So just kind of keep that in mind for the future chapter test. All right, so that brings us to what we've got coming up due for our next set of activities. So right now, if you look on the activities page in my Ozarka, we are on kind of the last part of week 5 of the semester. And so we're about to finish up week 5. And then our next set of activities is due late next week, specifically Friday, September 26th. So you've got chapters 7 through 9, the assignment, test, and discussion, all due by Friday of next week. Let me very quickly go over with you what we're going to be, what topics we're going to be learning about in each of those chapters. In chapter 7, we're going to learn about inflation. Okay. And we've learned earlier this semester that price stability through low inflation is one of the economic goals of the federal government. So we're going to learn about how we calculate inflation, specifically through the CPI, which was our discussion item for the last set of chapters. But we're going to go in and really talk about inflation, how it's calculated, how the inflation is, what are some methods that we use to kind of manage inflation in the economy. And as we'll find out both in this chapter 7 and later on in the semester, the U.S. government normally manages inflation through the implementation of its fiscal and monetary policies. And so these chapters 7 through 9 kind of lay the framework or groundwork for a lot of the chapters that we'll cover later on in the semester when we start talking more specifically about fiscal and monetary policies. All right. Now, chapter 8 deals with unemployment, which is another one of the goals of the economic goals of the federal government. We're trying to basically create full employment, which is basically no cyclical unemployment. In other words, no unemployment caused by downturns in the economy. There's always going to be certain levels of unemployment, like seasonal, frictional, and so forth, and you'll learn about those various types of unemployment. In fact, there are 4 types of unemployment that will, or sources of unemployment that we'll talk about in chapter 8. But basically, you'll learn about those four sources. You'll learn about how the unemployment rate is calculated. And in order to calculate the unemployment rate, you also have to calculate some other things like the labor force participation rate and so forth. But so you'll learn about that, and then you'll also learn that, of course, full employment is one of the 3 economic goals of the government, and we'll learn about some ways that the government tries to manage the employment levels. Okay, and then in Chapter 9, that covers productivity and growth. So in Chapter 9, we're going to revisit something that we looked at the very beginning of the semester called the production possibilities frontier, which, remember, it just basically is a graph that shows how much an economy can produce given the resources that it has. All right, and so we'll look at how we manage productivity and growth by kind of using that production possibilities frontier model as a way to guide that discussion. All right, and so we'll look at some of the factors that impact economic productivity and growth, and the methods that we use to measure economic productivity and growth. Okay, so that's chapters 7 through 9, and like I said, these chapters 7 through 9 will lay the groundwork for a lot of the topics that we'll talk about later on in this semester when we start talking about monetary and fiscal policy. Those are the policies of the federal government that are used to basically manage a lot of the things that we're talking about in chapters 7 through 9. All right? And just remember all the resources that you have available to you as you're working on the chapter 7 through 9 activities. Of course, you have your textbook, you have the PowerPoint slides that I've posted on the, or uploaded on the assignment page. You've also got the videos that I've linked on the assignment page. So, and I think most of you are already doing this, but if you're not already doing this, make sure you're using all those resources. Those are designed to help you to understand the course material. So if you're not using all those, then you're probably not getting as much from the course as you could. So make sure that you're using all those resources. Those are designed to help you. And if you still need help after looking through the resources, just let me know, and I'll be glad to help you. Okay? So be working on those, and don't wait until late next week to get started. Go ahead and be working on them now. Work on them early next week too, and get them done. Give yourself plenty of time. I think most of you are doing that, but there are a few of you that probably need to get started a little earlier on the assignments. Okay, and there are quite a few questions on the chapter 7 through 9 assignments. So none of them are really difficult, but it's going to take some time to look through the resources to be able to answer the questions. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. And that's really all I have for you for today. So enjoy the rest of your week and your weekend, and I will talk to you again probably not next week. It'll probably be early the next week because of when our next set of activities is due. Okay, so I will talk to you then. Thank you.